1959, Fidel Castro took over Cuba, and it's estimated that 500,000 Cubans came over to the United States. This building that you can see behind me is the one where they went to register. The influence of Cuba is everywhere in Miami. The official tree in Miami is the Cuban palm. At the back of this very popular bayside development is where Sonny Crockett lived on his boat with his alligator called Elvis in the very popular Miami Vice. The quayside here is swarming with people. There are shops, bars, ice cream parlours. This is the place to buy an expensive beer or ice cream. I'm very excited. We've just bought tickets for the big bus tour. It has 3 routes: the city tour, the oceanfront tour and the art tour. So off we go. The downtown Miami skyline is the largest skyline in the USA behind New York and Chicago. On the left-hand side is an artificial island called Star Island, so called because many stars lived there, for example, Gloria Estefan and Julio Iglesias. Julia Roberts, Mel Brooks, many other stars all have condos in Miami. The cheapest condo you can buy on that island is about $12 million. Okay, let's have a look at Miami Beach. Wow, the sea is that beautiful turquoise blue. Miami Beach. The white sand stretches for miles and feels really soft underfoot. So here we are on the famous Ocean Drive, party place of the rich and famous. The party starts at 6 and carries on till early hours of the morning. Check out the price of the apartments. These must be the cheap ones. $1.5 million for a 1-bedroomed apartment. I'll take 2. Another great way to get around Miami is a Segway tour. Great fun, I can recommend it. But just look left and right even before crossing a pavement. So many films have been made here. It's classic Art Deco. 3 stories high, 3 windows across, 3 colours. Of course, the show that made Miami famous, Miami Vice. Don Johnson still lives here. Art Deco was originally called futuristic architecture because it was designed in the era that saw the advent of machinery. And the 3 colours and the 3 rings that you often see buzzing upwards, like on the Jetsons, is a reflection of machinery and architecture that was later called Art Deco. Back on the bus tour. We can see across the river the houses of the poor millionaires, which is what the millionaires of the time called the people who had just made their money. I suppose we would call them nouveau riche. The pine trees along this route were planted by John Collins, an American Quaker who moved to Miami from New Jersey. He planted them to protect his avocado crop from the Atlantic Ocean. The heavy winds used to make the avocados fall, but the pine trees formed a barrier and sheltered them from the ocean's winds. There is the monument to the Holocaust, one of the saddest monuments in Miami. The people that live on the boats out there, opposite those very expensive houses and apartments, live there tax-free. It's a national park, and they don't have to pay tax. They have the same beautiful views, but live there with no real estate tax. The question is, how many of us are willing to live on a boat? Well, maybe a yacht with staff. That could be tempting. The People Mover in Miami is free and it joins with the Metro Rail. If you have time, you might want to explore them. Coral Gables was the idea of a farmer's son to build an expensive estate with lots of trees to keep the area cool. This is the Beverly Hills of Miami, but there are rules. If you paint your house outside the colour palette, you get a fine. If you leave your pickup truck outside too long, you get a fine. If you're too loud, you get a fine. If you leave your garage door open, you get a fine. If you're too ill to mow the lawn, the city says, "Don't worry, we'll get someone to mow your lawn for you." And then, guess what? We'll give you a fine. It's a very nice area. On the bus tour, we saw a place called Little Havana, which is full of Cuban bars with live music, cigar factories. It's just like being there. We had so much fun in Miami that we didn't have time to do the third bus tour. So it's worth remembering, if you want to do all 3 tours, you mustn't get off the bus for too long. You just stay on the buses and do the tours back to back. There's a huge coral reef out there. Because there are no waves, it's not broken down. So the sand has to be continually imported to make the beaches. Ernest Hemingway wrote 8 novels. He used to get up at 6:30 every morning and go and write.
He had a very similar writing room in Cuba. He obviously loved the Caribbean islands as much as he loved women.